Hello all the ninthers. Hope that you are all keeping well. Once again we are back to geography, and today we'll be dealing with the chapter latitudes and longitudes. Just like the first time, we will follow the assignment. In your chart you will find V refers to videos and A refers to assignment. We will strictly follow these assignments, and according to these assignments, number one is geographical grid. Now, what is a geographical grid? Exactly the definition we may say at the end. It is the network of parallels of latitudes and longitudes drawn on a map or a globe, which enables us to determine the location of any place on the earth. That means grid helps to find or locate a particular place on the earth, that is obviously on the map or on a globe. In this regard, there are two important imaginary lines that we are supposed to make as a reference. One is the equator, that is obviously the central latitude, and the other one is the prime meridian, which is the central longitude. This method of using grid is similar to your geometry, that is locating a point on a graph. And finally, what is a grid? So the combination of meridians of longitudes and the parallels of latitudes establishes a framework which determines the exact location on a map or globe, is known as the grid. This can be taken as definition. What is the grid? Grid or geographical grid is the same. Now you should know what is latitude or longitudes. From standard 6 onwards, you have been all learning what is latitudes, what is longitudes. Now these lines which are moving from west to east, you see, it is across, and these lines are all parallel to each other. This line and this line, these are all longitudes. Whereas the line which is coming, imaginary lines of course, from the north pole to south pole, and they are obviously, there are so many, they are known as longitudes. So this is a common thing that you have been learning from standard 6. Now these latitudes and longitude coordinate a system by means of which the position or location of any place on Earth's surface can be determined and described, and of course the whole process we take as grid. Now let us talk about the latitudes. I told you just now, the latitudes are the imaginary lines. There are altogether more than 100 and not more than, exactly 181 latitudes. Equator is in the middle, and from the equator towards the north pole you have got 90 of them, and from equator towards the south pole you have got 90 of them. So 90 plus 90 plus 1, altogether 181 latitudes are there. These are all latitudes, and they are named under the angle, different angles. Now some important facts regarding some important facts about lines of latitude. First of all, they are known as parallels of latitudes. Also, they run as an east-west direction, measures distance north or south from the equator. That means this equator, how far north or how far south. So that angle, like 10 degree or 20 degree north, 10 degree, 20 degree south. So it is the measured distance north or south from the equator. These are parallel to one another and they never meet. They lie in places that cross the Earth's axis at right angles. They get shorter towards the poles. At the equator, the maximum in size, I mean diameter, whereas as they go more the degrees, less the diameter is. So as the latitudes move from the equator towards the poles, either North Pole or South Pole, their size or their diameter becomes shorter and shorter. Obviously at the equator they are the longest. There are some important parallels of latitudes. Important latitudes we call them. First of all, the equator, the 0 degree, the Tropic of Cancer, 23.5 degree north, the Tropic of Capricorn, 23.5 degrees south, the Antarctic Circle, 66.5 degrees south, the Arctic Circle, 66.5 degrees south. Now, in this particular diagram, you can see very clearly. Now, this is the equator. Then this line is of course 23.5 degree, is 0.5 degree, means half degree, Tropic of Cancer. This is the Arctic Circle, 66.5 degree north, and this is of course the Tropic of Capricorn, that is 23.5 degree south, and this is the 66.5 degree, the Antarctic Circle. So these are the 5 important latitudes called the parallels of latitudes. The latitudes and heat zone, they are latitudes and heat zone, they are very much interrelated. Latitudes and heat zone, they are very much interrelated. Latitudes and heat zone, they are very much interrelated. Okay, so now there are, you see, the torrid zone, that means the hottest zone, the tropics, between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. It is the hottest zone. The sun is over it almost throughout the year, and you get the almost throughout the year that it is hot, and this area is called torrid zone. After that, you have got, see both sides, the temperate zone and temperate zone. It is in the northern hemisphere and is in the southern hemisphere. In the northern hemisphere, it lies between Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle, whereas in the southern hemisphere, it lies between Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle. And after that, you have got the cold, that is called polar zone or called frigid zone. The frigid zone is 66.5 degree north, and beyond that is the North Pole region, that is the polar zone, or we call them also the frigid zone. And similarly in the southern part you will have 66.5 degree Antarctic Circle, and beyond till the South Pole, this will have the frigid zone or called the South Pole zone. These are the definitions that you will all get them, rather the explanations how these 3 more called heat zones, the 3 heat zones, the torrid zone, the temperate zone, and the polar zone, or called frigid zone. Similarly in the southern hemisphere, remember the torrid zone is between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, whereas temperate zone, both the side is merging towards south and towards north. Longitudes. Obviously, what are longitudes? What are longitudes? Longitudes are imaginary line that passes from North Pole to South Pole. Okay, that passes North Pole to South Pole. Unlike the latitudes, longitudes are all half circle. Actually, their half circle means one part of longitude and the other part of longitude, the other side, together make a complete circle. But they meet together. Okay, they meet together. The latitudes, they are from this side to this side. So one latitude meet only, the other end only come back to that, but no 2 latitudes will meet. Whereas all the longitudes, they meet at the poles, either in the North Pole or South Pole. Now, some important facts about the lines of longitudes. They are also known as the meridians because the sun is overhead, noon time. They run as north to south direction, north to south direction. The measures distance east or west of the prime meridian. This is the prime meridian. So how far from here? If it is this side, it is west, and if it is that side, it is east. So this angle 10 degree is mentioned. It means how far they are from the prime meridian in angle. Are farthest apart at the equator and meet at the poles. It is all because at the equator the earth is bulging out. So at the equator the distance between the two meridians or longitudes are quite far, whereas towards the pole they just meet. Even at the poles they might be just touching each other. They cross the equator at right angles. They cross the equator at right angles, all the longitudes. They lie in planes that pass through the Earth's axis. Unlike the latitudes, longitudes are all equal in length. Remember, we told that latitudes at the equator is the maximum, and when they go towards north or south, as they go towards north and south, their diameter, their size becomes less and less and less. So unlike the latitudes, these are all the longitudes are equal in length, and they are part of the called halves of great circles. Among the latitudes, only the equator is the great circle. Longitude and time, they are very much related. Time of any place is measured on the basis of the position of the overhead sun, or when the sun is its highest point. It is called noon or 12 p.m. In fact, 12 a.m. p.m. we don't say 12, noon. After 12, we know this p.m. starts. Since the sun rises, apparently, because sun never rises, we see that sun rising, but because the earth is moving, sun is not moving. But since the sun apparently rises in the east and the earth rotates from west to east, the places located in the east, means easternmost part of the world or globe, can see the sun first, and therefore these eastern places will have time ahead of western places where the sun appears later. Now you see map. Suppose this is India. This is India. Now this is easternmost part. Easternmost part will see the rising sun earlier. Although India will have used only one IST, Indian Standard Time, but still you can see there is a time called local time difference. But in whole India we follow only one time, they call Indian Standard Time. Otherwise the easternmost part and the westernmost part, there will be a actual time of 2 hours difference. How and why we'll just know right now. Now each 1 degree of longitude will have 4 minutes of time difference. You may be confused what I'm talking about. Suppose 0 degree. From 0 degree to 1 degree is coming to the west. So between 0 degree to 1 degree to cover the earth takes 4 minutes of time. So that's why we say each 1 degree of longitude will have 4 minutes of time difference. A time difference of 4 minutes needs to be added for each 1 degree of longitude towards east. It adds because the sun rises in the east first. But a time difference of 4 minutes has to be subtracted from each 1 degree of longitude if it is moved towards west. It means if the time is to be taken from this side, then from actual time it has to be subtracted, and from if it is taken from this side, then time to be ahead. Why? Because these particular places have already seen the sun much earlier. You can all imagine that when you have the cricket match, so the time in Australia is always ahead of us. If they say the match will be happening during 9 o'clock there in Australia, then sometimes you have to get up at 3 o'clock to see the match in the morning, perhaps. So that is why the time is always different. Therefore, the local time is advanced by an hour for every 15 degree of longitudes towards the east, and for every 15 degree of longitudes towards the west, the time is reduced. 1. How it is 1 hour? Because there are 15 latitudes. So 15 degree into 4 minutes. So 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. Now we have got two concepts. One is called the local time and the other one is called the standard time. Local time. Many of us in many times we just get confused. Local time and standard time is not the same. India is not a very big country, so our local time and standard time happens to be the same, apparently. But if some of you visit the westernmost part of India, then you will know that although if you are in Dhanbad, the evening comes around 6:30, but if you are in Jaipur and Jodhpur, obviously the evening will come after 7 or 7:30. But still, the time all over India is the same. Now, what is local time? The time of a place recognized by the midday sun is called the local time. In other words, the time in a particular region or area expressed with reference to the meridian passing through it is known as the local time. When the sun is overhead on a place, the angle of inclination of sun is maximum and it is timed as 12 noon. Now, how it is different from the standard time? Well, like I told you, India is a very small country, geographically, of course, compared to a small country. There are many countries that are very large. At least they have got east and west extension is very, see, between India's easternmost part and westernmost part, it is not very, there is only hardly 30 longitudes are passing. So 30 into 4 is 120. That means 120 minutes means 2 hours difference. Whereas if you go take this map, Russia, this part, easternmost part, and if you compare with the westernmost part, like 6 o'clock in the evening, if somebody is taking an evening coffee, then of course 6 o'clock somebody is getting up and going for in the westernmost part, somebody is getting up in the morning 6 o'clock and going for jogging. So very difficult for the easternmost part to wish someone good morning. Exactly, it is in the evening here it is morning. Why? Because there are so many, you can see so many longitudes are passing this way. There are so many longitudes are there, so much so they have got 11 hours of difference. So that's why standard time is required. However, India is just because of 2 hours, and India, we are taking a middle line from this way called IST, will come now as the standard time. What is standard time? Standard time is referred to the official local time of a particular region like India. One time. Throughout India, we'll have one time. No local time. Throughout India, there is one particular time. Everyone in India follows only one particular time that is determined by the distance from the prime meridian of the meridian running through the area. We can also say that standard time, see the definition, standard time refers to the fixed time for places falling in the same meridian. set in the country by law. The whole country by law will set a time. That is called standard time. In other words, it is the civil time officially adopted for a country or a region. So every country has got a standard time. India also has got a standard time. It is called the Indian Standard Time, and in short form it is called the IST. Indian Standard Time is the time zone observed throughout India. All over India will have to follow this standard time. But where is this Indian Standard Time, so-called longitude, is passing exactly? Actually, the standard Indian time is calculated on the basis of the 82.5 degree east longitude, which is actually passing around this. This is the line. This is the line. It is actually passing this way. So, and you can see that if it is passing this way, so it is almost like in the middle of India. Middle of India means how much it is from here to east and how far it is from the west, from here to west. So that's why it's from the middle, and that's why India has taken the middle line, which is passing through the middle of India, particular place called Allahabad in Uttar Pradesh, which is situated approximately on the corresponding longitude reference line. So IST is taken as the standard time as it passes through the almost the center of India. Now there are some time zones. India has got only one time zone, as I told you earlier, that India is comparatively compared to many large countries. India doesn't have the easternmost and westernmost. There are only 30 longitudes are passing, so therefore it is just of 2 hours of difference from the east to west. Whereas some countries I told you, like Russia, the east and westmost part will have 11 hours of difference, so it will be very, very difficult for them. So therefore the entire country will be divided into many time zones. India is big, is small one. We don't need many time zones. Now what is time zone? What is a time zone? The term time zone can be used to describe several different things, but mostly it refers to the local time of a region or an entire country. Now again, India, the time zone, the India for local time and time zone the same, because we are following only and only one particular time. The term time zone is often used instead of local time. It is not the same as local time. Don't get confused. Time zone and local time is not the same. For India, it may be the same, but some other countries not the same. Why? The local time depends on the time of the overhead sun of a particular place, while the time zone refers to the standard time of a larger region or a whole country or a particular region. Now, why do some countries have many time zones? India has got only one, but some countries like Russia, United States of America, Canada, they are having so many time zones. In fact, Russia has got 11 time zones, Canada has got 5 time zones, USA has got 5 time zones. 5 time zones, you can't imagine. They've got 5 time zones. Suppose right now it is almost 2 o'clock, but in Canada you cannot say. You have to say in which part of Canada it is 2 o'clock. Obviously, they're not going to be 12 o'clock. They're almost 11 hours behind India. Now, why do some countries have many time zones? Some countries have large longitudinal east and west extension. That means this is east and this is west. So many longitudes are passing. So because of that, there's so many. The time is vast difference. There, if a single standard time for the entire country is set, as I say, no, in the evening 6 o'clock somebody is taking coffee, And then by this time, same time, somebody is around this westernmost part, just getting up from the bed and going for morning jogging. Imagine. So obviously, if you just follow one time, so that's not possible because of this large extension of east and western extension. So because when the westernmost part of Russia has morning, the easternmost part will have evening. So to avoid such confusion, the entire country has to be divided into 11 time zones. So how it is, how they are maintaining, only they know, but we in India, we know whether the time is now almost 2 o'clock here in Dhanbad, so same time is in Bombay, same time is in Delhi, or same time is in somewhere in the easternmost part like Nagaland or everywhere. What is an international line? Our next topic is an international line, date line, IDL we say in short form. Now, international date line. So the international date line is an imaginary line or boundary that runs from east to west along the 180-degree meridian. But remember, international date line is not equals to 180-degree meridian. No, it doesn't merge. It's not. Why? Because we are discussing this point. The international date line is not a straight line. If it were a straight line, then it would have merged. Now, why it is not a straight line? The international date line runs from North Pole to South Pole and marks the division between the western and eastern hemisphere. It is not straight but zigzags to avoid political and country borders that do not cut some countries in half. Therefore, it roughly corresponds to the 180-degree longitudes. If you can say to the global map, we can come to say that 180 degree is not shown here, but suppose this is 180 degree. Okay, suppose this is 180 degree. Now international date line will start from here, but then it will go to around this place and then it will come back again. So this is how international date line becoming a zigzag line. It is not the actual shown here because international date line is actually a timeline, and therefore to merge with the time, it is passing through the Pacific Ocean, and in the Pacific Ocean there are a few islands which belongs to different countries, and to merge with the time of those particular countries, the international date line has to make in the middle some zigzag line. Our last topic of this particular chapter is the great circle. What are the great circles? A great circle is any circle that circumnavigates the earth. Circumnavigation is going round the earth and passes through the center of the earth. A great circle always divides the earth into two equal halves. Remember this point. A great circle always divides the earth into two equal halves. And thus, among all the latitudes, equator is the only great circle, whereas all the lines of longitudes are part of great circles. Longitudes are half circle. You can see that longitudes are here. Longitudes are half circle this side and the other half circle from the other side. Together they make a complete whole circle. So all the longitudes are part of the great circle. Now, importance of great circle. Since the great circles are the shortest distance between two points of the earth or on the earth, the ships as well as the aircrafts follow these routes to make their journey economical. Means it save their time as well as the fuel. And that is why the great circle is important. The navigators, that means the people who are on the ship going from one place to another, and the aviators, the people who travel through aircrafts, they can also go from place to place. Now you can see this side, your homework is given in the assignments, just like last time. Follow the assignment. And one thing we have just mentioned here, see, study carefully the box items, knowledge booster and did you know. In the box, in the book, it is all given, and you are expected to write the homework. Part A, we have got only few these questions, and part C, you have got these questions. And always I give you this note that these questions are only for homework. You are expected to know about the whole chapter thoroughly so that you will be able to answer any question. We always tell you the same thing. If you've got any query, always put in the comment box. We will try to give you some reply. Stay home, study well, keep well. Thank you.